Hey you guys, Justin Critchfield here with Team Plus Realty. We've got a special guest with us, Master Architect, Mr. Kirk Baumgartner.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So we've gotten some questions recently on architecture, so we thought we'd bring Kirk on board to answer your guys' questions about architecture. Obviously a big deal, right? Building the house. I mean, most people that build houses, I think they're probably spending at least $500,000. Right? If they're doing a custom plan, and probably average close to $750,000 and higher. So let's give the people some good tips that they need to know.
All right.
I wanted to kind of jump in and ask about pricing, because I know that's kind of a common thing. Okay. People, especially in Utah, are budget shoppers, and that's not always a good thing. But what can people expect to pay for a good set of plans from a good architect?
Obviously, things are going to depend on style of house and the size of the house and all that sort of thing. But I mean, you're probably looking at somewhere between $4,000 and $10,000 typically as an overall price for some plans.
And that, I'm sure that's obviously dependent on their plan, right?
Sure.
They do a more cookie cutter traditional style, then that's probably going to be cheaper. But the fancier, the more, I guess, unique, would you say?
Sure.
Then that's obviously going to add to your costs.
Right. Be aware of all the costs up front when you're talking with an architect. You know what their design fees are, what changes to plans are going to cost. Engineering costs, printing costs. There's a lot of different kinds of fees and things that kind of go into getting a plan that you can get a permit for.
Cool. And that's just not upfront pricing, because if people want to make changes, which happen pretty often, I mean, what happens there?
Right, yeah. I mean, a lot of architects will have stock plans that you look at and you say, hey, I kind of like most of that design, but I want to make some changes to it, customize it to myself. So recently I heard about some people who went and they really liked a stock plan. They went to the architect and said, hey, we want that stock plan. So on top of the few $1,000s for the stock plan, architect wanted to charge them $9,000 for changes.
What?
Yeah,
what?
$9,000 just for changes.
Dang.
So be aware of those types of things when you're going into it.
Absolutely, that is awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I love it.
Another tip would be aware of design criteria, HOAs, CC&Rs, things like that. What the criterias are for where you're going to build. I once designed up a plan for somebody. We got through the whole process, designed up a killer modern home. I mean, it was a sweet looking house. And they took it into the city. The city said, no dice. We don't allow modern style homes to be built in that area.
Ouch.
Yeah. So they had to go totally find a whole different lot.
Ouch.
And so it wasn't all lost, but they really liked that lot. So be aware of what the design criteria are before you get into it.
So tip number 2 would be you need to understand what the city would allow, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not just the designs of the houses or the criteria for it, but also if you guys are buying lots, you need to understand the setback lines. And I know people could have a problem with maybe they want a rambler, but the lot that they bought, based where the city says you can have the side of your house ending, it may not fit on that lot.
Yeah, and a lot of CC&Rs, they specify amount of rock on a house. Do you have to have brick? Do you have to have
colors
stone,
too?
Colors, things like that. So just be aware of those types of things, because a lot of people nowadays, they don't want any stone on their homes. They want like an all stucco, all hardy siding. It's true, huh? And maybe it doesn't allow it where you're going to build. So be aware of those. I love it.
That's awesome.
Final tip I would say is just kind of know what you want going into it. I've been doing this for 20 plus years now, and
He's a veteran.
I've tried for the last 20 years to read minds, and I haven't figured it out yet.
What?
Yeah. So have an idea what you want going into it. I mean, I can take your ideas and put it together into a plan, but if you just don't really know what you want, it's going to be hard to give you what you want. So
sounds simple, but I'm sure in your career it happens all the time.
Yes.
Right?
More often than you would think. More often than you would think.
Way more often. And I know as a realtor, sometimes what one spouse wants versus the other can also lead to maybe that confusion. And so absolutely make sure that your plans, what you guys want, what your ideas are, that you come in with those and you're very certain about that so that it helps him do his job. Bonus question, Kirk, from me.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody has maybe 2 architects that are similar pricing, maybe similar experience. Is there one thing that could maybe separate one architect from the other people should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a great question, Justin. I would say, if they've experienced and price-wise are about the same, check out what their communication is throughout the process. Are they just going to take your ideas and then do the plans and hand them to you when they're done? For instance, for me personally, what I do is I'm communicating with the client throughout the whole process. We do the main floor plan, we get that laid out, and while I'm designing it, I might come up with some questions, like maybe, are these bedrooms a little small? Is the mudroom a little small? Are you going to really like that deck where it is? And so when I send them over a PDF to say, hey, review this, make sure everything's on here that you want, I also ask those questions that have come up during the design process. So then they can think about it and say, hey, maybe we do want the bedrooms a little bit bigger, or maybe we like them smaller because we like the playroom area bigger. So those types of things. Communication, I think, is key throughout the process.
I love it. I think that's perfect because you've drawn thousands of plans.
Yeah.
Right? First time or second time person might be only draw 1 or 2 plans, or they've just got this idea in their head. And so I think it's important to get the architect's feedback and really listen what they have to say so that you don't make a mistake. Because for me as a realtor, there's nothing worse than selling somebody's custom built home that did a poor floor plan and it's like 8,000 square feet and they're like, we want to sell for all this money. And you're like, oh my gosh, you guys have the worst design. It's literally like I'm selling a 4,000 square foot home because you guys have just done such a terrible job at this floor plan. So I think that would be definitely a huge thing that you should do. Make sure you get an architect that's willing to give you that feedback and help you understand not just floor plans, but size of garage, all that stuff is important. So, okay, awesome, Kirk. Well, we appreciate you coming on board.
Glad to be here.
We'll put his info around if you guys want to reach out to him for any other questions. We will see you guys next time.